So we are only looking at the smartness of the building right now. First, number one, how do you make your buildings healthier? Number two, it could be how do you optimize your energy cost? Number three, how do we really make sure it is sustaining, right?
We really don't need to be in a situation where we still have buildings without even, one element of smartness to it.
Using AI and ML, how do we retrieve the right kind of knowledge articles quickly and remotely?
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Our Own Devices. This time, we are going to talk about something again quite interesting because it is again something I didn't know about, that AI can help in how you build buildings, how you make sustainable buildings. And to talk about that, we have with us Mr. Sivakumar Selva Ganapathy, who is the Vice President of OpenBlue India Software Engineering and APAC at Johnson Controls. So, Mr. Sivakumar, welcome to the show.
Good evening, Nandagopal. It's great to have you here. Thanks for the opportunity.
So, see, the concept of sustainable buildings, green buildings have been there for a few years now, and I remember maybe like, almost over a decade back when the concept started sort of coming in. There are many ways to do it. There is rating, but at a broad level, how is AI helping you?
Yeah, definitely. So if you really look at across the globe, roughly about 40% of the greenhouse gas emissions are from the buildings, right? So that's one trend we are seeing. The second thing, what's happening is all of the companies, countries, and regions now they're committing for sustainability goals. Some take 2030, some take 2070, so on and so forth. And particularly in the context of India, we do have SEBI mandated BRSR reporting, and all these are enabled by data, right? So that's
Yeah.
where artificial intelligence comes in. And the way we have to look at is how do we make the buildings not only operationally efficient, but also intelligent enough? Because we are talking about Gen Yers and Gen Zers coming into the building as occupants, and their expectations are completely different. So, in addition to making operationally efficient, how do we really make sure the indoor air quality is better, the space are optimized, and also looking at how do we really optimize our energy bills and at the same time make the buildings much more greener. So that's where the data-driven artificial intelligence and machine learning comes into picture. And at Johnson Controls, we focus on uh, commercial building solutions and sustainability in the way we work across our businesses and functions. We help enable our customers and clients, and at the end of the day, save our planet. And all these are enabled by data driven decision making and also infusing AI and machine learning, and most recently, also generative AI in some of the use cases where a customer wanted to solve a problem.
So, if I understand this correctly, a lot of the sustainability initiatives in the real estate space earlier used to happen at a retrofit level, right? You have a very good building, then you think about what all can you add that makes it, that makes the building greener, more sustainable. But now, is it right to say with AI also in the picture, you have the ability of thinking something from the ground up, literally, which is sustainable at every level, from the construction to maybe how or where the building is placed in the plot of land. Like, there are many angles to it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right, Nandagopal. So the way we look at it is in two parts. One, the brownfield buildings where retrofit is a
Yeah.
very big opportunity. We sensorize it, we put some, collect some data. So either through edge devices or building automation systems, and then pass it on to cloud, and then use the data to do some prognostics and then really predict before an event which is happening, right? So that's one use case. The second thing is now, if you really look at the India landscape, particularly, the number of green buildings which are greener by design is 5%. There is a lot of trust and encouragement from the government of India to really encourage sustainable green buildings through LEED and EDGE kind of certifications, and it is only going to grow. Yes, you're right. From a green field buildings, we can really look at the 3D approach. You design for sustainability, and you enable sustainability through the second D, which is digitalization through industrial
Yeah.
IoT and edge and analytics, AML or whatnot, and then finally seamlessly deploy at the end customer side. And that building could be any type of building. It could be commercial real estate building. It could be now with the increased focus of data centers in India. It could be data center type of building, or airports, or retail malls, or university campuses, or even large government buildings. So, and even hospitality sectors, hotels and hospitals. So, across these type of buildings, we enable to deploy our equipments and our sensors and gateways to really look at how do we enable sustainability. One is the brownfield, as you said, there's a huge retrofit opportunity.
Yeah.
And then second one is greenfield buildings where by design, and nowadays, I mean, any company operating, their board shall constitute a board member representing ESG. And most of the
Yeah.
large conglomerates have chief sustainability officers. So some of the customers which we interact with and some of our forums we represent in, so there is an increased attention and focus on sustainability by design rather than an afterthought.
So this, the first element of the three Ds that you mentioned, in that, for instance, does AI help you? Like, there is, you mentioned about the data available, right? But
Yes,
you also
yes.
have data available for the location, for instance. It tells you about everything from rainfall to sunlight available and all of that. So earlier, for instance, a lot of the concepts I remember, it was sort of imported from, an Australia
Yeah.
or or wherever the concept had gained ground before us, and maybe
Mhm.
all of that doesn't work in the Indian context, right? So
Yes.
yeah, but here you have the ability to sort of fine tune it exactly to the data available for that specific place. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So let's take a building, right? An occupant
Yeah.
experience of a building. So what we focus is how do we make the occupant of a building more comfortable, more safer, and more secure, right?
Yeah.
Once an occupant enters the building, the clear consumption of energy is through the HVAC equipment, which is at the basement of the building, etc. Right? Now, the first use case, what we're really trying to drive is how do we predict the energy performance so that at a large company level, when you have a fleet of buildings, let's say a big commercial real estate owner, so can really link it to their KPIs, right? It could
Yeah.
be, hey, this would be my energy utility index. These are my ESG goals. So that is where, based upon the data, the past pattern, and also the environmental factors through weather data and the benchmarked peer building data, we can really predict what the energy performance is. So that at the operational level, the technician level, they can take actions based upon the insights, because AI is only as good as once it is acted upon. Yes,
Yeah.
delivering insight is one part of it, but you close the loop through command and control by taking action on it. At the same time, when you roll up to the boardroom at a CXO level, what we are enabling through AI is a single pane of glass, so that across the portfolios distributed within the country or even across the geography, how we enable the analytics part of it to really look at where my problems are. In one area, hey, my HVAC could be a problem. In the other area, we can, and we all know these are capital intensive assets. Where we infuse AI and ML is really looking at vibration analysis. For example, if you take our huge yacht chiller or any branded chiller, right? So
Yeah.
these are capital intensive assets. So can we sensorize it? Can we collect the data and deploy machine learning models to predict that this could fail at least a couple of weeks ago, so that that could be a huge cost saving for a COO or a general manager of the operations perspective. That could be a huge cost saving, which is the bottom line perspective. Now
Yeah.
let's come inside the building, right? Now you have Gen Zers coming in, different personas coming into the building. Now, using AI techniques, we can really deploy and design our spaces accordingly, so that based upon the need of the occupant, we can give recommendations saying that, hey, if you are in a collaborative environment, you can take the meeting spot on, or if you want to really ideate with India startup ecosystem and a lot of innovation happening, more open spaces are required, right? So through data-driven approach, we can suggest and recommend what type of activities need what type of buildings inside the system. So that's on
Yeah.
the a couple of use cases which we can think of. Now, I would also look at during COVID and post-COVID scenarios. Indoor air quality is becoming more and more important. And as a community within India, as citizens of India, we are more concerned about how do we keep ourselves more hygienic environment. So that is where we deploy indoor air quality sensors, collect the data, and then mash it up with other data like energy and lighting, etc., and then provide optimal performance by keeping the occupant healthier. At the same time, you optimize your energy bills. All these are driven by data and definitely using AI and ML algorithms.
So as you said, there is of course, there is a predictive angle, but there is also an angle where, based on actual data, you get the insight to keep on continuously optimizing, right? Inside a
Yes,
building, for instance, when do
right,
you switch on the AC? Which doors open? Which doors don't? Where do
right,
you have the lighting natural, or where do you have artificial lighting coming in? So how
right.
effective is that? Is that part of this?
Yeah. So what's happening is when, as you rightly said, so we do have with a large number of years of domain expertise, we do have FTD, fault detection and diagnostic algorithms. So what we do is when we collect the data, so we also look at the quality of the data coming from all these sensors, and also we look at the equipment performance as well. So that is where we are looking at how can we really look at these equipments, the health of the equipments, and really tying out with prescriptive methods. Let's say one is the predictive and preventive part of it, but there will always be certain areas where certain events occur. So at that point in time, using AI and ML, how do we retrieve the right kind of knowledge articles quickly and remotely, right? So imagine we are looking at a space where we are in an internet world and internet of things world. It's not economical and logistically possible to deploy a technician to any of the buildings across the board. So that's where we have remote diagnostics, monitoring solution, and also looking at command and control. So we are only looking at the smartness of the building right now. As we speak, as the buildings evolve, we are looking at autonomous buildings, right? And that autonomy comes in through some of the augmentations, whereby we look at, hey, can we create an AI agent which can really autonomously look at some of the space requirement, some of the energy requirements, and also the way you build your building information model using a twin. How do we segment the lighting? Let's say in a hybrid work model, one set of space need not have a lighting at all. So how can we make it more autonomous so that it is self-sustaining? So that is where some of the digitalization aspect, AIML aspects comes in. And then when we are in a unity and diversity kind of a country and taking globally, we have technicians speaking multiple languages. So that's where generative AI comes in, where we provide conversational inputs to the technicians remotely, avoiding the travel cost, etc. And at the same time, the software aspect, many of the people miss. How do we motivate these technicians from a monotonous task of, hey, acknowledging an alarm and taking action on it? They also get motivated by using these digital technologies to say, hey, this is the type of the chiller and this is the issue. How do I solve it quickly? So through those conversational aspects, we retrieve the right kind of knowledge articles, which is predominantly manuals, etc., and then suggest them how do we really fix the problem. So this way, we shrink the cycle time where the end customers, the maintenance technicians, and the operators are happy, and at the same time, we are reducing the cost, which gives a bottom line advantage. But imagine the scenario of a hotel. You also look at new revenue streams, right? So there are studies we have done recently, and also there are a couple of external reports where they suggest the citizens, the travelers are willing to pay a premium, maybe a 5%, 10% extra towards an eco-friendly, greener buildings or greener stays. So there we can help the hotels to generate additional revenue streams, really looking at, hey, if this is the kind of room temperature, if this is the quality, indoor air quality we are talking about, we not only provide the visibility, but we also provide command and control and kind of self-service kind of offerings as well.
Now, so if you are working, let's say, on so a building like this or anything or a factory like this actually needs a command and control hub, right?
Yeah.
So is it within the building or is it managed like centrally by you people? How does it work? And
Yeah.
the other aspect is that no, I remember the conversations a few years back because no company in a way had an end-to-end solution, right? You
Yeah.
needed to have some things coming from somebody else, and there were
Yes.
some standardization issues because, like, your hub, it can't
Yeah.
talk to the other IoT devices because it's
Yes.
based on some other standard.
Yeah.
So are we in a situation now where a company like yours can go in
Yeah.
and give an end-to-end solution?
Absolutely. Very good question and need of the hour to save our planet. So at Johnson Controls, as it mentioned earlier, sustainability is our key theme. So we do have a sustainability infrastructure team where first they go take any type of building, first do an audit, they assess where they are, and then they compare it with our own benchmarks with huge amount of fleet of building data we have, and then say, hey, what are all the areas of focus depending upon your KPIs. First, number one, how do you make your buildings healthier? Number two, it could be how do you optimize your energy cost? Number three, how do we really make sure it is sustaining, right? A sustainable report, but it has to be continuous and sustainable part of it. Now, once we assess this, that's where our OpenBlue platform comes in, our data and analytics platform, which is Blue represents our legacy brand, Johnson Controls Blue, and the openness is where open to the open ecosystem. It is brand agnostic, it is protocol agnostic. We have the ability to interface or connect in a secure way through APIs to not only ingest the data and collect the data, but also push the data out. So, a couple of examples, particularly in Asia Pac, in Singapore, one of the large customers, we are able to, because some of the large customers, they already have a command control center, let's say a NOC or a SOC. From a single pane of glass, we provide the energy efficiency and equipment efficiency data as one of their pane. So we provide that data to them. So that's one model we are looking at. The second thing is we also have our own OpenBlue platform has command and control capabilities, whereby depending upon what we are operating, either it could be an equipment or it could be space performance or it could be net zero buildings and net zero advisor or sustainability manager. We not only recommend, but we also have control which interacts with our own Metasys kind of a building automation systems or any other brand building automation systems and closes the loop. So that is the key differentiation what we need to look at when we are talking about connected building to smart building to autonomous building. Connected buildings are good, but smart buildings are even better so that you can have the command and control functionality. And when we move, as the industry move towards autonomous, we will be able to ensure that with the still human in the loop, how do we minimize and make it more autonomous, more data driven?
So before we wind up, one last thing I want to ask you is that is there so even in a situation where every company has to designate somebody as a sustainability officer,
Yeah,
everybody has an ESG goal, but even
yeah.
then, is there still a awareness deficit in the market that people still don't know that some of these things are very easily doable, especially if you're setting up a new greenfield building, right? And 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 certainly we really don't need to be in a situation where we still have buildings without even one element of smartness to it. So
Yes.
so is there a gap in the market still, and how do you think this gap can be solved?
Yeah. So first, let me take the Indian context. Yes, you're
Yeah,
absolutely right. So what the need of the hour, there is a gap between what commitment as a country we have signed up for. I mean, 2070 or 2060 or whatnot. But
yeah.
if we need to get there, we need to start looking at the grassroots level. Okay. So yes, number one, there is a awareness or a knowledge gap whereby industry, the government and the academia shall come together, catch them young, early from a school and college days, and then early in the life cycle. So create those awareness. That's number one. And number two, also like what currently the government is doing, really looking at, for example, from a technology perspective, there is an India AI mission. They have signed up, they have committed roughly about 10,000 crores of Indian rupees over the next 5 years. Provide not only AI from India, but AI for India, which is going to have a societal impact. One such streams could be, how do we carve out some amount of investment towards the greener, sustainable planet and a greener building which is sustainable, so that it helps India as a country to meet those goals. That's the second piece of it. The one is the awareness, the second one is real kind of support, and third one is on an ongoing basis, how do we ensure this is not just oh, milestone achieved, I'm done, right? It's there has to be a ongoing governance model. That is where we have regulatory authorities through the boards, the constituent of the board with ESG representatives and sustainability officers. There has to be a consortium, and there are forums like CIIs and ISHRAEs, and through NASSCOM from a technology perspective, we do collaborate and ensure how do we do this on a sustainable basis, sustainability on a sustainable basis, so that we as a country we adopt. But when you look at the global context, I think the awareness and the adoption in the North Americas and EU is they're slightly ahead of us, and their commitments are also a bit aggressive, and their technology deployments are faster. But my only hope is India being the AI capital of the globe, I think we should take the pole position soon, and with the kind of richness in data centers, both cloud service providers and small and medium-sized data centers coming in, and the kind of talent we get from the universities and schools in terms of AI. And not only that, also coming out with sustainability and greener academia courses. I think we are shaped up well to really take the pole position and lead our country forward.
On this positive note, Mr. Sivakumar, thanks for being on the show. It's very insightful, and again, something I'm sure a lot of our listeners were not aware of and will apply their mind when they are looking at setting up something new.
Definitely. Thank you, Nandagopal. Nice meeting you.
So you are listening to Our Own Devices. We'll be back again next week with another guest and a lot more insight.